I'm live in your feed. Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this week, I have an important topic to talk to you guys about. I want to talk about being triggered, specifically being triggered by other people and other situations that you don't necessarily have control over. Because it happens to the best of us that somebody will say something or do something that triggers us. I had a couple of clients come to me with this over the last couple days, and I found myself today being triggered by something. So it felt topical to talk about triggering. Okay, so what is triggering? Triggering is, and my apologies, the dog next door is barking. So if you hear yipping, they hear me talking, and so they come up and sit in the bedroom behind me here and bark and bark and bark and bark. And they're not my dogs, so I can't tell them to shut up. Anyways, so what is triggering? Triggering is when you are confronted by something, somebody says something or does something, or you or implies something, whatever they say or do something that that causes you to have a reaction, either a mental reaction or a physical reaction or an emotional reaction. So their action has caused your reaction. And this happens more when we are still living in our shit, basically. As we move out of our shit, we release the need to feel right all the time, and we release the need to not have other people do things that bother us. Because I'm gonna lead with the lead, okay? The only person we can control is ourselves. That's it. That is the only thing that we have control over, is us. Our thoughts, our emotions, our words, our actions. That's it. We cannot control anything else. Now, how do we control all of those things? Because you're like, okay, so how do I actually stop being triggered? First step is awareness. Knowing that you are being triggered. Recognizing that what is happening, that your response to this is a trigger response. You are being, it's like somebody's cocking a gun and shooting it, and you are the bullet. Boom, 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 boom. And you are firing yourself at them because they have cocked that trigger and fired. Okay? And cocked that gun and fired. You're the trigger, you're the bullet. So they are setting you off, basically. And you go off. It's beautiful fireworks. It's a beautiful bullet soaring off into the wild blue yonder, running people over, hurting them, hurting yourself. Ugh. Can we not? Can we not? Can we not feel this way about everything in our lives? Okay? Now, how do we do this? First step is awareness. Knowing that you have been triggered, recognizing that in yourself in the moment. If you can't do it in the moment, that's okay. Recognize it afterwards and try and go back into that memory of when you were triggered and what your emotions were, what your thoughts were, what your actions were, and what your words were. Okay, in that order. Because we start with emotions when we're being triggered, then we have thoughts, then we have actions, and then we have words. And by the time we've gotten to words, we're pretty bloody explosive, because our feelings are usually not good feelings. So sit with that for a bit. Sit with what those feelings were. What kind of feelings were they? And what did they what thoughts did they bring up? And then what actions did you take? Did you take a deep breath to gird yourself for that fight? Did you feel slapped, like you'd been actually slapped? Did you tense up? Did your stomach do flips? What physical responses did you have? And then pay attention to the words that you used like bullets. Ooh, it's important. It's important. Now, over in my courses, my one-on-one work, we do work on triggers a lot. We work on managing emotions. We work on noticing and paying attention to all the things that trigger us, noticing and paying attention to all the things that we do that trigger other people, and recognizing what that is and why we're doing it. And here's the big secret about doing this work. Just by this simple act of noticing, the magic happens. The shift actually happens in the noticing. The shift actually happens because when you notice it, you, in the moment, you have a split second where you can make a choice. Am I choosing, yes, that is what I want? Or am I choosing, nope, not going to go there, absolutely not? Which one am I choosing? And why? What you'll find is that when you do this work and you really honestly look at what your triggers are and why they exist and what your responses are, you're probably going to be horrified at first. You are. We're all horrified at first. We're like, oh my God, I'm like the worst person ever. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. But you know what? Knowledge is power. And when you take off the mask and you look at yourself as you truly are, you know what happens? Magic. Because when you take off the mask and you show yourself to you as you really are, you learn how to love that. Because there's nothing but love. There really isn't. I mean, we can yammer on all day about all the things, but at the end of the day, there really is nothing else but love. Love for yourself, love for other people, love for this wild, amazing life that we are living. And one other thing that I will say about triggers is sometimes you can trace your triggers back to things that have happened in your past in this lifetime. And sometimes there really is no discernible reason for you to have this trigger. It's so frustrating when you have a big trigger and it causes you to lash out at people and you don't understand what is really going on. Now, I'm the first to admit I have a big trigger, a big one, and it's from a past life. It's not from anything in this life. You know what it is? It's actually needles. I am severely triggered and traumatized by needles, but it's not from anything in this life. I think it's from something in a past life. I have not been able to explore it yet. I've done some past life work, obviously, because I do past life regression sessions with people. I have done some past life work, but we have not uncovered that one yet. And that happens sometimes. You'll do a past life regression package with someone, and the things that you think you need to work on are not things that your subconscious and your spirit guides think you're ready to handle. And so, you're thinking that you're going to deal with your phobias once and for all, and you work on some other things. And you're like, well, that didn't work so well. Let's try it again. You do it again. You work on some other stuff. But I'm just saying, there's usually a bunch of stuff going on in our worlds. And it's not always easy to see exactly what the triggers are and what their source is, but it is always, always worth it to have done the work. Because what happens is when you do the work, everything else falls into place. Now, for decades, I was petrified of needles. I would hurt people with needles. And now I'm pretty, even though I've not technically done any past life work specifically with around needles, I don't feel like I've got as much fear around it because I've gone through some of the other experiences in my past lives that have allowed me to create a different reality for me in this life, to create a different personhood, to create a different persona, to be more who I am at my core, more of who I want to be, and less of the bits of me that I don't want to be. So I hope this has been very helpful for you. It's a little shorter one today. If you do want to work with me, hit me up. I'm around. I have all kinds of good things, from coaching to past life regression sessions to the uh, channeled intuitive sessions with Vicky and Efren, to the inner circle if you don't have a lot of money but you still want to work with me and you don't really want to do one-on-one stuff. I kind of have a bunch of different options for working with me. So if that sounds interesting, hit me up down below. And otherwise, we'll talk to you later.